And what a great show we have this evening. Where's my round of applause? Thank you. They always forget about the host with the round of applause. I don't understand. Thank you. It is the 9/11 Dreds Scurryface edition. As you can see, all of the links down there on the bottom. Already, people piling in the chat. This has been one that a lot of people have been waiting for. Tyler is here. Randy is here. More are going to be popping in, I'm sure, because we have the Jaeger bomb of guest. A huge, huge guest, big guest. And when I say huge and big, I mean all 6'6" of them. That's right. The man himself who played Leatherface in Texas Chainsaw 3D, Mr. Dan Yeager, is here. Hence the Jaeger bomb joke, if nobody got that one. I am, of course, so to speak, Dreds. We have Mr. Jackal Monkey with us. How are you doing today, sir?
Oh, I'm doing fantastic. I'm absolutely ecstatic for this. I can't explain how excited I am for this.
I can tell. I can tell. Along with Scurryface.com, get over there and vote for round 5, which you're going to see that promo at the halfway point. Scurryface.com, as well as Scurryface over there on Facebook. And of course, 911dreads.com, Dreds with no A. And you can also, that's where you can catch our audio podcast and all that good stuff. Where can people get a mask? Because we're going to be talking a little bit about masks tonight. Where can people get a mask from you, Jackal Monkey?
Hey, if you need a custom latex mask, hit me up, Nightmare Ninja Studios on Facebook. Like I said, I do all kinds of custom work. I do a lot of hockey masks, Hannibal Lecter masks. Ooh, there's a kitty cat behind me. I've been doing some scarecrow masks recently.
Those are looking very, very badass, my friend. I just want to say that. Very creepy. Check them out.
But yeah, hit me up on Facebook, Nightmare Ninja Studios, and we'll make your nightmares become a reality.
Awesome. And of course, as I mentioned, Scurryface.com, nightofthelivingreds.com. And I guess without further ado, I should probably just bring in, well, I would say Leatherface, but as his Facebook states, Leatherface doesn't talk. But Mr. Dan Yeager does talk. How are you, Dan? How are you, sir?
I am well. Thank you.
Awesome. That's a one hell of a stogie you have there. What kind of you're a big fan of cigars. What kind is that? What's your favorite choice there?
This is kind of my daily go-to East Coast roller. It's just a cheap ass cigar.
Okay.
For when you're working.
Right. And if it burns down, you ain't got to worry about, you blew a bunch of money on that. And
it's always good though.
Always good. Awesome. Right. Well, again, it's a pleasure. It's an honor to talk to you. I personally am a huge fan of out of the entire series, outside of the original, I'm a huge fan of Texas Chainsaw 3D. I'm sure you hear that quite a bit. Why don't you, before we get into Texas Chainsaw 3, why don't you tell us how you even got into, because you also do a lot of writing, you do some directing as well as acting. So, and possibly other things. You do a little producing too with, was it Bad Anger? That's a production company, right?
Yeah, that's my own.
That's your own little thing.
Yeah, I've written. Well, I've got probably, I don't know, a dozen scripts I've been working on. I think 5 of them are complete. Complete enough to start packaging to, actually be able to walk around with a tin can begging for money.
Right. How did that all start? Your whole acting. Did you always want to be an actor, or was being behind the camera and doing more directing and writing more your style, or was this something in childhood? Was there a certain film maybe you saw early on in life that you said, "Hey, this right here is probably what I want to do for the rest of my life, whether it be acting or directing"?
I always loved movies. And as a kid, you know, I think for my third birthday, my mother asked me what I wanted, and I apparently wanted a Superman costume. So, pretending was big.
Oh, sure.
But I was never had any particular drive to be an actor. My mother was of a different opinion. But,
right. She sees something in you as a small child because of all your make believe that she thought you could probably do that.
And I have an older brother, and he was very creative, and he used to flex his creativity on me. We lived in a single story house with a big basement in Ohio, and
about 3 hours north of me. I'm down the Dayton area, actually.
Oh, all right.
Yeah.
And we always loved year round building, haunted houses in the basement.
That's awesome.
And I was always, the monster or the creature. And my brother, he was the one who came up with all of it, and he just, turned me into whatever he wanted, and people always loved it.
So haunted houses, that was kind of a thing for you, you and your brother, as kids, you like going to them. That's one of those things. Yeah. As I mentioned, Scurryface, a huge worldwide haunt actor, scare actor collective all coming together into one. So, I mean, when you say that, and considering who we're broadcasting to, that was pretty interesting. So you were always a monster. It was your brother. I'm sure your brother was smaller than you height wise.
No, he's about an inch taller.
What?
Or he was. I don't know. We're both getting older.
What do they feed you kids in Cleveland up there? My goodness.
Yeah, a lot of corn.
Miracle Grow.
I don't know.
So
my whole family is big.
Really,
I have a couple of sisters who are 6 feet. So
wow, that's pretty damn tall for a woman, for sure. So bring us up to where you got. What was your first role as an actor, and then you can also go off into maybe your first directorial debut, any screenplays that you had written. You can take it wherever you want.
Well, actually, I started out. When I was a kid, I bought a Super 8 movie camera. I was always more of a movie maker, although, reflecting upon the movies I made in those days, they had no narrative structure. They were very avant-garde,
Right.
I used to make documentaries about whatever, was in front of me. And, so I always had an inclination towards that. But when you're, 6'6" and, blonde and blue eyed, they, the impulse is to put you in front of the camera.
Sure.
Right.
And I never minded that. I went to a vocational high school where I learned architectural drafting, and they had no extracurricular activities. There was no drama club. There was no sports, nothing.
It was just your reading, writing, arithmetic kind of thing.
You were there to learn a trade, and I did. And I think I was the only one out of my class who actually went to work in the field.
You make cabinets, is that correct? Or some woodworking or something. You even opened your own business.
I eventually started to specialize in interiors, but yeah, I worked in a couple of architecture firms in Las Vegas where we did tract houses and custom houses and casinos, and my first big solo project was a parking garage.
Mm.
We did everything, and then I moved to LA with the idea of going to architecture school, which I never did. I got too busy working, and then when I was still in Las Vegas before I moved to LA,
Mm-hmm.
I out of high school I joined the community drama workshop.
Right, I read
Because
that,
I wanted to learn. I did want to learn to act, and by 1984, I could only get extra work. In the early days, I was an extra in a movie with Christopher Lee.
Oh wow!
Shut up! I did not read
What
that.
movie?
That's awesome. Yeah, what movie?
Neither Christopher Lee nor I ever speak about it. It was a terrible.
I appreciate your honesty. I can live with that answer.
If they really want to know the movie,
Google's there.
I think it was the only Christopher Lee movie that was ever shot in Las Vegas.
Okay.
But it was terrible, and there were other, there were other people who went on to do great things from that movie. It was really surprising. A couple of the actors, you've heard of. One of the actors went on to be a very successful director. Tom Shadyac. He was in it.
Oh, interesting.
So now it's going to be easy to find.
Right, sure. Thanks for all the Google keywords.
And then you'll see me in the background. I was the guy who ran the community drama workshop in Las Vegas. He was an actor, movie guy from LA, and he knew everybody, and he gave us some pointers that I followed greatly. He said if you want to be in the movie, bring a lot of changes of clothes. And so, I packed a bag, man. I was changing my clothes constantly. And so I'm in half the movie, but always in the background. And,
I'm sure being, 6-something, you were probably pretty easy to spot.
I don't know. I haven't seen the movie in many years. I'm trying to remember how I have a terrible memory too. So
join the club.
Same here.
Yeah, it was a fun experience, man. There's nothing better than.
Imagine. I mean, you were working with Christopher Lee. I mean,
yeah.
Shit.
Well,
regardless of how bad the movie is, I mean, if you can, rub elbows with Christopher Lee in a movie, that's, I could probably overlook the fact that it was a horrible movie.
Yeah, it's terrible.
Don't hold back by any means, Dan. Don't hold back.
Yeah, no, it was a stinker.
Take us. How did you get other than having that kind of that build, well, before I guess we get to Texas Chainsaw, were there any other, films that you worked on between that time when you appeared with Christopher Lee in a terrible movie? Up to between that and the Texas Chainsaw, which came out 3D, which came out in 2013. I'm sure there was plenty of things that you worked on prior to that, but what kind of threw you into maybe the acting that landed you the role for Leatherface?
Well, no, there was absolutely nothing.
Really?
I did some amateur theater stuff. After I got to LA, I could never bring myself to take that vow of poverty that is necessary to, break into the industry as an actor. I just couldn't do it.
Rags to riches type thing.
Yeah. I mean,
you still got to make a living.
Yeah. Actually, I remember a conversation I had with Tom Shadyac on the set of that movie. He was telling me, he came up to me because he said, you know, you remind me of a friend of mine. I said, really? Who's that? And he says, well, he passed away, and it was the guy who was on that time travel show who accidentally shot himself in the head with a blank and killed himself on set.
Oh wow!
I can't remember his name. What the hell is this? Somebody Google that.
Talking about Brandon Lee?
No. He you know, it was. I remember hearing about that story. Jesus. But anyway, he said, "Oh, you know, you look just like him." And they used to live in a house together in Venice. You know, somebody'd rent a couch, somebody'd rent, you know, a Barca lounger, and I mean that was the way. That was the way people lived, you know, to try and survive long enough to make it into the movies. And I could just never do that.
Well, right.
So,
like I said, you still got to make a living.
Right.
I mean, you still have to maybe hold down a 9 to 5, even though you may have, you know, a different, you know, direction that you want to go with your life, or, you know, aspirations, but you still got to put food on the table.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I mean, every waiter in LA is an actor.
Oh, sure.
Right.
Now every Uber driver, I guess, is an actor. But you know, before I decided to become an actor, you know, I drove a Jaguar E-Type and had a 35-foot sailboat. You know, and
oh shit.
So I kind of squandered 20 some years of.
Is John Eric Hexum?
There you go.
Is that the name? There you go.
Yeah.
We a couple of our chatters there watching the show. Actually, 2 of them came up with that.
That's the name. Yeah.
Good call.
But anyway, he apparently he and Tom, you know, were roommates and good friends, and you know, just horrible. And you know, he got his big break and everything, and then just a momentary lapse of understanding, and bam, it's over. Horrible.
That's terrible. Jackal Monkey, I know you were chomping at the bit. You have a head full of questions. Please, sir, unload.
Oh yeah. Oh man.
Strap in, Dan.
All right. Yeah. First of all, like one of the interviews that I saw where you were talking with someone, you were saying that, you know, that the mask was like one of the greatest inventions in cinema, because whenever literally anyone could put on that Leatherface mask and become Leatherface.
Yes. Well, you can't really help but be Leatherface. Now, the challenge with it is to know what that means and to understand it, and you know,
right.
there's kind of a physical limitation too, because you know, a little guy in a Leatherface mask is
right,
absolutely kind of amusing,
right?
You know, so there's that element of it, but you know, really, it's the greatest shorthand to a character I've ever had. There's no you know, trying to get your head into the moment, because you know, you put on the mask and you stand up from your chair, and immediately everyone around you knows.
right.
And boom, you are, and you have that time walking to, you know, the set to, you know, remember what the hell you were going to do, and you know the real trick with acting in a mask is to, you know, remember that you don't have any of those face tools to work with.
Especially with a silent killer like Leatherface or Michael Myers or numerous others.
Yeah, to try and convey any kind of meaning. And Leatherface is a great character in that, you know,
Absolutely.
he has a lot of there's a lot of depth to who he is and what he's doing. And so, you know, there's an impulse always to just play him as a, you know, savage killer. But it's more complex than that, and it's a challenge, you know, to always show that there's some thinking going on.
Right.
Well, absolutely. When all you're seeing is
Strategizing.
basically your eyes. Now, I personally believe, and I've never done any acting, you know, in a mask or anything like that. But it seems to me that it's a lot more than just putting on a mask and becoming, you know, all of a sudden you just become. Because I'm gonna tell you what, I'm my favorite horror movie. No disrespect, is Halloween. I love the Halloween movies. To me, there's only one Michael Myers, and that's Nick Castle. A lot of people would probably feel that there's only one Leatherface, and that being the late great Gunner. I think you're right there with Gunner, but I think you know you because there's certain things. If you go through the Halloween franchises and you see how Nick Castle you know portrayed Michael Myers, and you see a lot of other actors trying to fill them shoes and not do a very good job. It's like, no, why is he walking that way? Why is he doing this? Why is he doing that? So I think it does, as you alluded to, it goes a lot deeper than just throwing a mask on and now you're Leatherface or now you're Michael Myers. I mean, when you're 6'6", which ironically enough is you're the tallest actor that's ever played Leatherface, right? How tall is Gunner? Do you know that offhand? I do not.
I think he was 6'2", I believe.
6'2"?
No,
Oh,
he was about 6'4".
Oh, 6'4". Okay.
Yeah.
So just a few inches, you know, you edge that up there. So
I mean,
did you learn a lot from Gunner? Because as most people know, you know, with Texas Chainsaw 3D, he did have a small part in the very beginning. And but we are going to take like a small like minute and a half break to maybe stretch our legs, refill our drinks here in just about 7-8 minutes. But until we get to that point, did you learn a lot from Gunner on set before the filming? How did that take place?
Well, my prep for the movie was, you know, to study the script and then to basically, you know, analyze all of the Texas Chainsaw movies that had gone before.
Sure.
And they all offered something, but in the final analysis, I always went back to the original, primarily because that was the premise of the story.
Sure, that was the basis for everything that came after.
And so, you know, I mean, the day I met Gunner on set and in the Sawyer house that we had
it's so awesome.
created. And, you know, I told him that day, you know, I said, just to be clear, I've attempted to rip you off as mercilessly as I possibly could. And, you know, everything, you know, that, you know, I came up with for the role originated with him.
Yes.
You know, I mean, our movie takes Leatherface beyond where he was at the end of the original. And so, you know, had to adapt to that. One of the things Gunner said was that his concept of Leatherface was in relation to the mask. If you remove the mask, you'd find nobody there. You know, Leatherface always was the mask. And that was the big thing the writers had changed or evolved, I guess would be a better descriptor, is that, you know, they're, you know, basically in the first 5 minutes of our movie, everybody who fought for Leatherface and told him what to do and directed his life was wiped out.
Right.
And so, you know, that was the moment where he had to make his first decision for himself, and he decided to run. Apparently, we unfortunately didn't really explore the details of how that came about, but it was kind of a necessary, you know, kind of mystery element to, you know, keep people off balance through the movie. You know, is those nagging, you know, lingering, you know, what the hell happened,
right? Exactly.
And it keeps the audience on edge. But you know, after his family was murdered, he had to come up with a new reason to live, because you know, and so that's the fundamental difference between the character as I received him and as Gunnar portrayed him, is that, you know, by the time I get him, if you remove the mask, you would find somebody there, and it would be horrifying what you found. That was the idea.
Right.
Well, like Otis is saying earlier, like you did in both of our opinions, you did an amazing job. The only one that's even a comparison is the original Gunnar Hansen. And like I said, in my opinion, I thought that you absolutely nailed the role, blew it out of the water. And I mean, like you said, everybody, like all the other, because I started watching all the movies here recently back to back. And then I finished with Texas Chainsaw 3D, and it's the same thing as like I was saying before. Like, other than the original, that one's my favorite. Like, just like I said, I felt that you absolutely nailed it, but you brought something new to it.
Yeah.
And I mean, in the first one, the original, I was absolutely horrified, terrified of Leatherface. But you actually made it like it was almost like Frankenstein. Like I
felt bad for you.
Like I was sympathetic
at the end. Exactly. Yeah, I felt bad for Leatherface.
Very sympathetic. At the end. Like, absolutely loved it.
Yeah. Well, you know, I mean, I that was definitely the character I played, and that character was on the page. You know, he was well written. You know, that was and he was, you know, well realized in every way. And you know, I always like to give credit to the army of people that it takes to make that happen.
Right.
You know.
I know Adam Marcus directed it. Did he write it? Did he write it as well?
He wrote it. John Lessenhop directed it.
Oh,
Lessenhop, yeah.
My mistake on that one.
Yeah.
Strike one.
Yeah, no shit, right? Yeah, I love Adam Marcus as well. I mean, I thought he did fantastic with Jason Goes to Hell, and again, I thought he did an amazing job with Texas Chainsaw.
Yeah, it went through a lot of iterations. If you talk to Adam,
yeah, that's what I've heard.
The scope of the original script he wrote was, you know, I mean, it was epic, and there was just no way we could make that movie.
Right.
And so, you know, it's a shame. You know, there were elements that were still in the shooting script. You know, by the time we got to Louisiana, that they ended up having to cut. It was just so big.
Right.
And there were pieces that we shot that didn't make it into the final cut. You know, it's a complicated process to get.
Sure. No, absolutely. And like a lot of the, you know, chatters, you know, I've told Jackal Monkey this before you joined us prior to record or coming on. I've always loved the process of filmmaking. I can't say I have like a passion to want to direct. I think I would actually like to be more of a silent killer because I can act. But I think I could. I think I may be able to pull something off there as far as not having to speak is kind of what I'm getting at. Which I want to get into more of that after. I want to take just a quick break. Give a shout out to some over there at Scurryface Dan. They do a scare actor spectacular, and it's all based on votes. You can go and vote for your favorite scare actor from all over the country, all over the world, actually. And they put this on. I believe it's every year, and they are down to round 5. And Tyler, who is the head honcho over there, he asked me to throw this graphic up because this is what it's going to look like after tomorrow. The number 1 seed from Group A will go against the number 2 seed in Group B, and then vice versa. Number 1 seed in Group B goes against the number 2 seed in Group A. So he wanted me to throw that out there, let you know. But who's going to be that Final Four? Well, these are your choices. Stay tuned. We'll be back to round this last 30, 40 minutes off with Mr. Dan Yeager. Stay tuned. We'll be right back.
Under the fog, armies surround us, waiting for dark, wearing the Ryan masks like a shield. I know they're coming, I know they're here. Oh, that light, oh, is bright. Sleep for today, but tomorrow we fight.
All right. What'd you think about some of that makeup there, Dan? Some of that just blows my mind that people put the time, the energy, and they have such a passion. They make it look like Hollywood type makeup. What'd you think about some of it?
Yeah, I've done a few appearances at various haunted houses and haunted attractions. They're getting more extreme. Everything in the past has been a failure of imagination.
What's up,
and it just keeps getting better and better. Holy cow! And I think it's it's like comparing haunted houses from when I was a kid to haunted houses today is like comparing video games.
Oh, right. No, absolutely. No, I get that 100%.
It's just incredible. And yeah, I think it's there's still tremendously fertile ground to explore with the concept,
the haunt industry, and
that immersive kind of experience. Yeah, uh, actually, the friend who gave me the bottle of scotch we were talking about, he owns his own trains down in Pennsylvania,
Mm-hmm.
antique trains, and they run them. You can ride his trains. It's
Is that
very
where you
cool.
were at recently?
Yeah,
Awesome.
yeah. I went down to see him, and we were riding on the train, and I came up with this concept. He wanted to do kind of a special Halloween train,
Oh,
and I was looking out the window as this train's going along, and there's, train lines tend to not go through the prettiest parts of town sometimes,
Sure.
and it's rural Pennsylvania, and so there are some, kind of, it's somewhat post-apocalyptic in certain areas.
I've been through. I grew up in Maryland. I've been through parts
Yeah.
of PA. There's actually parts of Maryland that are quite like that as well. Victoria, real quick before you continue, she wants to know. She noticed the scotch behind you. She was wondering what is the what's the name of that scotch?
This one is a Jesus Christ. It's the Balvenie. It's a Caribbean cask aged 14 years. And it's got a definite, they definitely used rum casks to age this, and you can taste it. But Balvenie is a single malt.
Okay.
It's good.
Never had that. I'm more of a bourbon guy myself when I do indulge like that.
That's my go-to. That's
Okay.
Highland Park. Nice.
That's a good one. And then this is a rye that is made here locally. I live up in the Finger Lakes.
Okay.
And these people are friends of mine now because they make excellent rye.
That's awesome. Hell yeah.
Finger Lakes Distillery.
Nice.
But no, every time I ride that damn train, the first time I rode it, the libretto for this Halloween experience began to take place, and it could be really cool. I gotta write it down. I haven't written this libretto yet, but
I'm loving it.
It would be this multimedia. Basically, as you're boarding the train, the zombie apocalypse ensues.
Oh my goodness!
And they decide, well, all right, well, no, this is probably not a problem. We're going to go ahead with the train, but of course that was a poor decision. And it would unfold from there, and it would require probably 50 actors to really pull it off.
Awesome.
That would be badass, though. I would get on a zombie apocalypse train, in that fashion, like a haunted train type deal. That would be awesome.
Have you seen the movie Train to Busan?
No.
That's exactly what popped into my head when he said the zombie apocalypse on the train.
It's a good one.
Yeah,
it's a good one. Yeah, something like that. Oh man, I would love that. I would love that.
I want to take us back real quick to what we were talking about a little bit before the break, that being Texas Chainsaw 3D and your portrayal of Leatherface. I'm not ashamed to say this, at the end, well, not all the way to the end, but when Leatherface is chained up, he's getting ready to go into that huge meat grinder, whatever the hell that was, and he's being kicked, he's being beaten, he's being chastised by the mayor, and blah blah blah, and you hear Leatherface like, he's kind of grunting and moaning, and my eyes watered up and the hair on my arm stood up. I felt so fucking bad for Leatherface at that point. And then I got this rush of, you get him, girl. when Heather comes back with the chainsaw and, it's like, here you go, cuz, or something like that, and slides that was probably one of the most memorable scenes from any recent or past horror movie that I've seen. The only one that really comes close, I love the beginning of The Devil's Rejects with the big shootout, which I thought was ironic. Bill Moseley was in this, and there was in turn a little bit of a shootout, but do you get that? How did you feel? Is that how you tried to portray Leatherface in that end scene where, where people would ultimately feel sorry for him?
Well, I think that was written heavily into the script. In the script, the note was Leatherface mumbles unintelligibly. And you can't mumble unintelligibly as an actor. You have to be mumbling something, and you can make it unintelligible, but you have to have
something, right?
Yeah, and so I thought about what would Leatherface be wailing at this point, and he's actually saying Elie, Elie, lama sabachthani.
What is that?
Which is what Christ says on the cross, which translates, my God, why have you forsaken me?
Oh, wow.
And so that's what he's screaming, and you can't understand it.
Because it does. It just sounds like screaming and moaning in pain. Like
that's hardcore, though.
That is awesome.
But that's that's how you develop the what you need to make that come through a lens or two lenses in the case of 3D.
Right.
How was that shooting a 3D movie versus maybe being in front of the camera and just a regular movie? I've seen the Friday the 13th 3D. The actors said that could be pretty tedious at times because you have to get things just right to make the 3D effect come through. What was it, a tedious process with you and doing Texas Chainsaw 3D?
Yes, 3D is really hard to shoot.
Right.
It's a layer of complexity and a technological level way beyond just shooting especially digitally.
Right.
Shooting on film has its challenges, but you spend your career kind of learning how lenses work and how you can move within what they can see. And then you're confronted with these 3D camera rigs which have nothing, they're nothing like a regular movie camera. It's this big magnesium box that holds two red digital cameras in it, and they're not just side by side. One shoots down and the other one shoots through a mirror that is at a 45-degree angle. It's a 50% mirror, and so that way they can bring the cameras closer together than would be physically possible.
Right.
Side by side cameras, and so they can attune that point of convergence exactly, and it's all carefully worked out. However, you can't see the cameras and you can't see the lenses. You have no. And so it took us a lot of kind of that was John Lessenhoff's first 3D movie too, so
Really?
he wasn't really used to them. And
So
actually,
a lot of trial and error, huh?
yeah, I think it was a cinematographer's first 3D movie. But fortunately, we had there's an entire crew of guys who are dedicated to operating the 3D aspect of the system, and they were the best in the business. So, you know, they knew all the pitfalls and let us head them all off. But you know how you move, particularly like a chainsaw, is you know it's a big piece of equipment, and it has great potential to break the frame a lot. You know, to go outside the frame. You know, the chainsaw's here and
Sure,
Right.
up, it's out of the frame. And in 2D photography, that's not a big deal, but in 3D, it's going to disappear from one eye before it disappears from the other, and so it messes with the whole process. And so that was a lot of it. You know, just trying to understand, you know, how to keep this 3-foot long chainsaw in the frame. Apparently, there was a Conan the Barbarian movie shot in 3D, and they ended up having to spend tons of money in post to fix all of the problems with that sword.
Oh wow!
Shooting that sword in 3D. You know, so we tried to avoid all those hazards. Yeah, there's one shot. I was opening weekend. We had a party because, you know, the movie opened #1 and we were very excited. So we had a party and Toby Hooper came, and
That's so awesome.
he was such a nice guy. I fanboyed a lot, but
Oh, I bet.
Oh, sure.
he was really nice, and we talked for hours. And he said there was one shot that he had always tried to get when they were shooting the original chainsaw that he could never get, and because it was too hard to hit the marks with the chainsaw, he wanted the chainsaw, you know, to come into the frame and then sweep across. And in our movie, when Leatherface comes barreling out of the mansion down the steps, the chainsaw comes right at the camera and then sweeps across the front. And he loved that. He thought, "Oh my God, you guys did it!"
That's awesome.
I said, "Yeah, we did it in 3D."
In 3D to add. I know you had to throw that in there, didn't you, buddy? That's great. Well, did you have a favorite kill? Jackal Monkey, please just hop in anytime, man. My head's just pumping with questions. But do you have a favorite kill that you liked doing in Texas Chainsaw?
They all died well.
Yeah, I thought so.
And you know, it's always, and there's nothing like your first. You know, bashing poor Kenny in the head with the hammer. That was
right.
That was good. Although technically the most challenging one was chasing the guy up the stairs and planting a meat hook in his back and dragging him back down the stairs with it.
Yeah, I heard you say you practiced that numerous times before you actually had to shoot it to make sure you got it just right. The kills were awesome.
Dude, they gave me a 3-foot steel hook.
Oh shit!
With a sharp point. I don't know why they thought it necessary to sharpen the fucking thing.
Right.
And you know, I was excited. It was my first big time movie, and so I went with it. And you know,
and it was shot in Mansfield, Texas, right?
Yeah, all over around.
Is it Louisiana as well, right?
Yeah, Shreveport.
Shreveport.
Yeah. The studio is in Shreveport. The barn is up in Mansfield. The The mansion is, what's the name of that town? It's another M town south of Shreveport. And
Not
then
familiar with that area, so I
a
couldn't
lot
help
of
you
it,
there.
a lot of it was shot on this military base
Oh wow.
up towards. Was it? Wait a minute. What's the one? Maybe I'm mixing them up. Maybe the mansion was in Mansfield. I can't remember the names of the towns. They're terrible. I told you I have a terrible memory.
Hey, same here.
I forgot
But
you even said that.
I could look it up on a map, but I can't tell.
Hell
But
yeah.
anyway, you know, all these things are, you know, like I say, the barn is 60 miles from the house,
That's awesome.
and the gates are actually on a military base, and you know, outside of Shreveport somewhere towards the north.
And Greg Nicotero did the effects. Did they do a live cast of your face for the mask?
They did. I have my head. I still have the head up there.
I was going to ask you if they gave you that mask or the head, or what, you know, if you grabbed anything from the filming of it. A lot of actors do. They have, you know, I think Heather Landekamp, she wanted the phone with the Freddie tongue coming out. You know, and everybody on the set thought that was creepy. Oh my goodness.
Oh yeah.
I don't know where the hell is it.
Yeah. Oh,
That's badass.
That's wonder why I noticed it doesn't have any teeth on it.
right.
That's
That
called the Bama blade, apparently,
Oh.
because there's some kind of a feud between people from Louisiana and people from Alabama, and people from Louisiana like to say that, you know, I don't know, people are dentally challenged in Alabama.
The Bama blade.
Uh-huh.
Oh, good old Bama blade.
Was I going somewhere? I can't remember.
I don't know. I don't think we're going anywhere at this point. So, what were some of the you know, you hear a lot of horror stories from the first from Toby's, you know, the original. A lot of the horror stories of filming. There was like actual blood. I mean, there was. Do you have any horror stories on the making of this one? I did hear in a past interview that the heat was incredible, 100+ degrees while filming, and you got to run every day.
Every day.
Now, how long did filming take? Because being in 3D, I imagine the production of it was slowed down because you may have to take more takes than normal because you didn't get this right, didn't get that right. So how long did that take?
Well, we shot for 6 weeks, 5 days a week, just under 6 weeks, actually, 28 days total. But the last 2 weeks was shooting 24 hours a day on 2 separate units. So if you were lucky, you were either on A unit or B unit a couple of times. I think Paul Ray had a couple of days where he was on both units, and so, you know, he was just standing up sleeping at times.
I was going to say that has to be physically exhausting. The heat
is,
alone,
right.
just walking around in the heat can just. But I mean, you're sometimes having to, you know, run and chase people, and this wearing the mask, carrying a friggin' chainsaw. I mean,
yeah, well, you know, Leatherface largely works at night, so
that does help. Yeah,
That
it does cool
wasn't too
down
bad.
a little bit then, sure.
But you know, there were like the carnival scene. That was a rough shoot. And
I love the scene where you
was,
come up to the little clown or the little haunt actor with the little toy chainsaw.
She's a good friend of mine, Carrie Kramer.
Awesome.
She's a lovely girl.
That's awesome.
But yeah, that was really, you know, and that was Leatherface's first appearance in public, and so, you know, I was, you know, kissing hands and shaking babies a lot, and
a lot of those extras, they had never seen you in full getup. Is that correct?
Yeah. No,
So,
they had
a lot of that was genuine fear of this maniac, just sawing through a
chainsaw.
fucking,
yeah.
chain link
Oh, yeah.
fence running after him.
Yeah. And I'm sure it was intimidating. It wasn't for me.
You're 6'6", Jesus Christ.
Hell yeah.
Oh
But
my goodness.
that was a rough day. That was a rough, yeah.
What? No.
That
What
was
was it? Was it the weather that made that such a rough shoot? I think I cut you off before you got into it.
Oh yeah, and it's a lot of running. It was
Yeah.
chasing that poor girl around and and just they had a few people walking around set with Gatorade, asking all the crew, when was the last time you peed?
Sure.
And if you couldn't answer the question properly,
You're drinking that whole bottle of Gatorade right there.
They handed it to you. Yeah, Gatorade and water and everything. And
Well, that's good though.
yeah, like I say, it was Leatherface's first appearance in public, and a lot of the extras, just showed up, to be a part of it, to support the movie, and so I felt a certain obligation, and they wouldn't allow cameras, nobody could take any pictures, right. And so I signed a lot of autographs, and fussed over people, and we invented the Leatherface hug, and it started with this little girl. I think she was dressed as a bee or a princess or something. And anyway, she was like 8 years old, and I was walking around talking to people and whatnot, and she and her mother come up, and she says, my little girl wants a hug. And I was in the apron, and that apron was sopping with blood. It was just, I mean, that's every shot. The effects people come up with this bottle of kind of diluted blood and just
drench you,
spray everything. And so, and I said, sweetheart, I'd be happy to hug you, but I would ruin your dress. I said, I'm covered in this blood stuff. I said, it's fake, but it's blood, And so she started to take off her costume, and I said, lady, you get control of your kid here. and the woman said, oh yeah, no, she's fine. And she stripped down to her t-shirt and underwear, and I said, all right, give her a little hug. And it was kind of cool because, the apron has like a pocket on the front, and the strap buckle comes down and hangs, and there's a tie across the middle, and this all, and my hands were covered in blood. And so everything printed onto her t-shirt. It was this contact print of Leatherface hugging her. And pretty, and the kid was thrilled, and it looked kind of cool. And pretty soon everybody
wanted a Leatherface hug.
Yeah, and so I spent the rest of the day doing that.
That'd be my little girl.
Yeah. I can see Abigail doing that, wanting a hug from Leatherface. Just go ahead, Dan.
Leatherface loves the little children. He does. He is Christ-like.
Hey. I mean, yeah.
I mean, that's true. That's funny. But yeah, we're getting ready to wrap this up. Dan, it has been such a pleasure. You have been so fun to talk to. Before we leave though, do you make it the horror convention circuit? Are you out there doing that? I'm going to my first horror convention actually next weekend. I'm somewhat ashamed to say it's my first.
Yeah, which one?
Days of the Dead.
Oh, all right, yeah, that's a good one.
Yeah. I'm going out there. A lot of cool people that's going to be out there. But do you make that the rounds on the horror convention circuit?
Yeah, I do a couple a year.
Mm-hmm.
I live in the I live very far from a major airport, so
Right.
um, I think the Mad Monster Party. I did the one in Charlotte and the one in Arizona. I think they just did the Arizona one again, so it was last year.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, every now and then I do.
Every now and yeah, I mean, because with
Um,
things opening up after the pandemic and these things starting to come about again, where
yeah.
we can gather now. Yeah, I was curious. I would love to look up to you and shake your hand like.
Well, we'll figure that out one way or another.
Sure, absolutely. I don't think
be
we're
fun for me
too
too.
far
Yeah.
from each other. Jackal Monkey, any parting words for the Yeager bomb?
Again, thank you so much for coming on the show. We've loved this, man. Like, I can't even
Thank
talk.
you for
I'm so
having me. It's been a lot of fun. It's always good for me to reminisce about a really good time. I mean, making that movie was the best job I ever had.
Well, like I said, the only person that did it better, in my opinion, was the original. So
I agree.
You did a fantastic fucking job.
Absolutely, absolutely. Dan, I'm just gonna drop you in the backstage. Please hang on. I want to say goodbye after we're done recording. Again, thank you so much. A lot of people have really enjoyed listening to a lot of the backstories with the filming, the behind the scenes stories. I love it personally. I've always been a fan of that, the movie magic type stuff. And again, yes, thank you. We would love to have you, back on some other time, man. This was a really, really fun time. I appreciate you, sir.
It was my pleasure.
Awesome.
Thanks for having me.
Hang on with us here for a minute. Jackal Monkey, that was absolutely awesome. What a great guy. I love the stories, man. I loved all the backstories. It was awesome. And if you haven't seen Texas Chainsaw 3D, well, fucking shame on you.
Yeah.
Shame.
It's a damn good movie. Like I keep saying,
it's one of my favorites.
The only one that did it better, in my opinion, was Gunner. But that's my opinion. But then again, it didn't hurt too that it was a straight continuation off of the first one, which was also my favorite.
That's what I loved the most about it was it picked up right where one left off so many years later. Absolutely awesome. And again, if you haven't seen it, shame on you. But I think most of our viewers and those in the chat have seen it. I want to thank each and every one of you guys for joining us. And
thanks.
I think I think Jason Miller, one of our listeners, he's out there in Indy, I believe. So maybe I'll get to meet one of our viewers out there at Days of the Dead if he goes. Jason, DM me, man. Hit me up. Well, maybe we can meet up out there somewhere. Jackal Monkey, another great show. Thank you for putting in all the fucking legwork, man, and helping, bring some of these awesome people, from the industry to the show. I appreciate you, sir. Nightmare Ninja Studios on Facebook, man. This guy right there. Right there.
Check it out. If you want a custom mask, hit me up.
He'll make your nightmares become a reality. There you go. Thank you guys again for joining us. And hey, we're not going to be doing a show next week because again, I will be in Indy at the Days of the Dead convention. So the following weekend though, good stuff. We have a big show actually next weekend. I'm gonna leave that one on the back burner right now. Yeah, it's going to be a surprise. So, hey, thank you guys. Scurryface.com. Get your ass over there and vote for your favorite scare actor. And, hey, we'll see you guys next weekend. Not next weekend. What am I talking about? The following weekend.
Happy birthday, Dio.
Happy birthday, Dio.
Yeah, it's Dio's birthday today.
It is Dio's
Yeah.
birthday. Wow. all
Yeah.
right. Happy birthday, Dio. All right.
Had to
Have a
throw
good
that
night,
out
guys. I had to throw it out there.